Hello and welcome back to Jarvis Johnson Gold, the premium channel that is free. It is free, but if you're watching this, you're premium. And today I need to talk about a plight upon our internet, which is the social networking site LinkedIn. A lot of people may not know or remember that I started making content on YouTube as a tech creator. I used to be a software engineer in San Francisco. I made like lifestyle vloggy content about that, informational videos about that, trying to be funny. Eventually I pivoted into whatever this is. But as a result, I still have a lot of connections. Is that what they're called on LinkedIn? I didn't even do that on purpose. I have a lot of connections to my past, and I like to keep tabs on the tech world and the messed up stuff they're up to. And recently, it is my producer Anastasia brought to my attention that there are LinkedIn influencers now. There are people who, I guess, present themselves as the creme de la creme, the top of the food chain of the LinkedIn content pyramid. And the content I'll be looking at today is from Avni Barman, who is a creator who has 60 million views per month on LinkedIn. They are an investor, a founder. You've got to be a multi-hyphenate if you're in Silicon Valley. It's you're not allowed to do one thing. They also define themselves as a Delulu CEO, which I respect the self-awareness. Now, I mean no harm to this creator, this founder, this investor, but as I am cut from the same cloth. I'm from this world as well. I also did tech internships. I worked in Silicon Valley for a long time. So this is me putting on the kid gloves before we look at the content, because I'm afraid what I might say once we actually get into the content itself. And look, Silicon Valley has no shortage of Delulu CEOs, as we know very well at this point, but not all of them are LinkedIn posting. LinkedIn posts have been much talked about in the past for their text-based variety. You know, I proposed to my girlfriend this weekend. Here's what it taught me about B2B sales, that kind of thing. But this is like VDO. Sorry, I forgot the word video for a second. Maybe this shouldn't be my job, but I haven't seen much video posting on LinkedIn, especially not like vertical video posting as if it were TikTok. So that's where today's subject, Avni, comes in. Some of you will think this isn't appropriate for LinkedIn. That's fine. But this is how the world actually works, and no one wants to admit it publicly. Okay, so the word publicly is misspelled, which is how I know this was written by a human and not AI. And if no one is willing to say it out loud, I will. All right, so that's a lot of, I'm going to say it, and you can't stop me. And I don't know who was stopping you, because it is, you're allowed to post. I do think we should limit who's allowed to post, maybe, but as of right now, you're kind of allowed to do it. Because even if saying the uncomfortable truth helps even one person navigate this world better, it's worth any backlash or even getting canceled on my birthday. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here, but let's just watch. Before we get into that, we have a brief word from today's sponsor, Olipop. Olipop is a new kind of soda that combines that classic soda taste with less sugar and ingredients that support digestive health. Whenever I'm wearing a purple shirt, I have a hankering for classic grape soda, but there's so much sugar. But with the high fiber and low sugar of Olipop, I can enjoy my classic grape without the guilt. Sure, I'm glad I wore this shirt. Olipop has lots of great nostalgic flavors like Dr. Goodwin, cherry cola, strawberry vanilla, lemon lime, classic root beer. The list goes on. Olipop is sold online and available at most major retailers. You can scan the QR code on screen or click link in the description to get a free can of Olipop when you purchase 2 cans in store of any great Olipop flavor. Thanks again to Olipop for sponsoring this video. Now back to the video.
99% of the things I achieved, I did by breaking the rules.
99% of the things I've achieved, I did so by breaking the rules. Okay. You know, harkens back to the Zuckerberg move fast and break things. Look where that got him. And then she starts flexing on us in her shoulder pads, which is pretty cool. Everyone needs girl boss shoulder pads. They make you look like a linebacker, but a stylish one.
I'm a millionaire. I live in my dream house, and I probably could buy whatever I want at this point.
Okay, top lining it with the flex. Millionaire, dream house. I can buy whatever I want. Even these shoulder pads.
The thing is, life isn't fair, so you don't play fair.
Life isn't fair, so you don't play fair. Hey, that's true. Life is not fair.
Story of all the 3 rules I broke to get here. This might get me canceled on my literal birthday, but if it even helps one person, it's worth it.
So this is employing a tactic. It's an engagement tactic. This might get me canceled. I might go to jail. That's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of the Shane Dawson videos where it's like, are we going to go to jail for this? And it's also your birthday, which is a happy birthday.
In college, I was completely broke. You weren't allowed to get a scholarship twice to the same career conference that got you a job. But I could not afford to go there. So I just raised money for my own scholarship and gave myself one of the seats.
What I'm assuming is happening here is that this career conference only gives seats to people who've gotten scholarships. Those scholarships, one assumes, are sponsored maybe by companies or something. And so she raised her own money to go to the conference, basically buying her own seat. But this could have been shortened to, I raised money to pay my way to a conference. Or you could give us enough context to understand how you were breaking the rules. Because I think I understand, but I'm not entirely sure. I also was broke in college, by the way, and I paid my way through school with scholarships. So this is speaking my language, okay? I was a part of this world.
And that's how I landed my first role in big tech. Speaking of which, the job I got was not just any job. It was $300,000 straight out of college, and I was the only product manager hired at that company as a new grad.
Okay, so she got a high-paying job right out of college. That's, pat yourself on the back. That's awesome. It's not exactly breaking a rule. I mean, I guess the rule was broken to get the intro to the company that then got you the opportunity to get the internship that then got you the full-time job, which I get. If you want to know how I broke the rules to get my first job in big tech, you can check out the Jarvis Johnson video about how I got a job at Google by failing my interview. That's actually a real story and a real video that I made in like 2017, 9 years ago. Times are different now.
At this career conference, I basically emailed the recruiter and said, hey, it was so great to meet you. You mentioned you were going to put me through to the first round interview. She obviously didn't want to make it seem like she forgot about me, and she talked to like 1,000 people that day and 1 million more were emailing her, so she just went with my story.
So this is interesting. Now, this is social engineering to a point that I would argue is a lie. Which is she emailed the recruiter and said, hey, nice meeting you. By the way, you said you were going to put me through to the first round interview, leveraging the fact that she might not remember the specific interaction she had. So it is a big risky swing that maybe I wouldn't do because I don't want to lie to someone. To each their own, I guess. This is gray hat at best. This is on the line ethically to me.
Yeah, they skipped me straight to the final interview, and that's how I got the job.
So you emailed about the first round of the interview, and then they skipped you through to the final round. I feel like I'm missing some steps here.
Easiest way I financially altered the rest of my life, and obviously I was qualified for it. It was just ridiculously hard to stand out at that point.
Yeah, I mean, that's real. So first of all, the reason the tone of this is super rough for our current moment is the job market's really rough. A lot of new grads can't find jobs. There's a part of this that is relatable because it's difficult to stand out. It's difficult to stand out in a difficult job market, especially a competitive one. You can do that by lying is one way you can do it. And I suppose lying is breaking a social contract. It's breaking the rules. And it's something that tech CEOs do all the time. So I guess that's a part of their playbook.
And then a few years in, I was really emotionally burnt out and I wanted to quit. So I asked my manager for 3 months of PTO. She said yes. And then after 3 months, I just put my 2 weeks in.
So the other thing, and this is a thing where it's like, hey, lying to a recruiter, that hurts because like the recruiter's not usually compensated the way that the people they're recruiting are. So it feels bad to me. And they don't have the same ownership stake in the company. So it feels bad to me to be dishonest with them. The second story is about how they asked for 3 months of PTO, paid time off, and because they were planning to quit the company. And when the company granted that, they just put their 2 weeks in after they got back from their break. This I actually seen happen a lot in tech, especially. And so I don't know that they were necessarily pulling the wool over their manager's eyes the way that they thought they were. But at the end of the day, it may suck for the manager, it may suck for the coworkers, and it is a little bit dishonest, but if the company's granting it, I think they understand the risks. I don't have as much of an issue with that because, again, it's like a large corporation. They've already invested so much money, and they used that, to build their financial runway. Arguably, I did something similar, but it was just with my like nights and weekends with my YouTube stuff, just to like make sure I had, I was more secure financially before diving into a super risky YouTube career. Don't know if it's breaking the rules though. It's more of like a life hack for corporate America, but also you have to be in such a cushy job where you're already being paid $300K a year and they're going to give you 3 months off without really expecting much. That's already such a extremely rare situation to be in. I don't know how applicable this is to most people.
No, I didn't burn any bridges doing this. I still text my manager and a bunch of people on my team. They ask me for advice all the time. They're one of like 10,000 people at the company, and that money isn't even their money.
That I agree with her. Like these big companies, like I don't ethically have a problem with that, especially if you're still doing right by your coworkers and like your people that you're working with. Looking at the comments, people are a fan of the shoulder pads. Shoulder pads turn the volume up for me. I'm inclined to agree. Playing by everyone else's rules is how most people stay stuck. Some of these replies do feel like they were written by AI, which given the clientele of LinkedIn, I wouldn't be surprised if they were. This person's in AI tech and strategy, and they wrote, "Man, you're insanely genius, and hence my biggest inspo. That one person you mentioned about would definitely be me. I want to know how you do it." This is 100% written by AI. I mean, I refuse to believe a human being wrote that. Overall, I'm giving that a 1 out of 3 on breaking the rules. More or less, it's fine. I don't know. These type of people, very type A, very like competitive. They want to get an edge wherever they can. That's all well and good. The real reason I want to talk about this person is because of this series that they have on their LinkedIn, Billionaire, Millionaire, and Normal People. And it's about how the 3 groups of wealth, by the way, those are the only 3 groups, billionaire, millionaire, and normal, how they deal with certain situations.
I eat whatever is cheapest during the week so I can afford Starbucks every day and drinks at the bar on the weekend. I budget hard during the week, bulk packaged foods, meal prep, lots of rice and pasta. Then I ball out on the weekends at restaurants. They're last minute reservations, so they're not always the best, but it's my way of seeing friends and feeling human after such a long work week.
Okay, I already have an issue with this because this is the fucking avocado toast argument they used against millennials. It's like you'd be able to buy a house if you weren't buying so much avocado toast. Normal people's problem isn't that they buy Starbucks, okay? It's not that they buy lattes. Most millionaires are not millionaires because they meal prep. Like even if you added up all of the meals that you do over a year cooking yourself, you're not going to make $1 million off of that in a decade, probably. You have to extrapolate that they would apply this logic to other aspects of their life. But taking just meals, if the average grocery bill is somewhere from $200 to $500 for a single person a month, that's only a few $1,000s a year. You wouldn't become a millionaire for like 50 years off of the food alone. And this person, by the way, is a millionaire at 29. So obviously that's not how they made their money. This also frames like being a millionaire as this like moral victory because most millionaires just became millionaires by making a lot of money. And then the cost of a lot of the things, the other amenities they have are not like society is built for people who make less than millions of dollars. So everything is relatively cheap to them. So it's easy to maintain their wealth. Like obviously you can become a millionaire through really strict budgeting and being extremely mindful with your money. And those are totally fine and valid like things to be doing. And for many people, it's a reality to make ends meet. Framing it this way is just not only disingenuous, but it's like insulting to my intelligence. The subtext of this speaks to an issue I have at large with the tech industry and just like millionaire posting in general, which is that it's a meritocracy and they got everywhere through their deft skill and tact and abilities beyond that of mere normal people. And in many cases, in most cases, that's not the case. It's not a meritocracy. In many cases, you got lucky. In this person's example, they got lucky that when they lied to the recruiter, that recruiter didn't blacklist them. Like so many of these things are risks and there's so much probability and luck involved in getting to where you are in life and where you come from matters and what you started with matters and all of this is just destroyed when you're just like I meal prep and that's how I became a millionaire, you dumb wage-oid. Okay, now let's see what the billionaire does because it can go one of 2 ways. The billionaire could be extremely meticulous, extreme couponing or whatever, or the reality is they got extremely lucky, like mega lucky. They probably exploited some labor or a lot of labor on their way to becoming a billionaire. And now it is impossible to lose their wealth because of the sheer scale of that wealth. And nothing costs any money, relatively speaking.
I eat high quality, simple meals, meat, vegetables, stuff I can air fry in 10 minutes. If I'm busy, I DoorDash salads. Restaurants are only for special occasions.
Bullshit! I'm sorry, dude. With all respect to this creator, I'm talking about this argument. With all respect to this human being making this, I'm talking about the argument. Bullshit. Like, what are you talking about? That's like so provably untrue. Sure, that's true for somebody. If I'm busy, I DoorDash salads. It's not that's so many people do that. Many billionaires have private chefs, multiple homes, because these are like the cost of these things are rounding errors for billionaires, because that's how much $1 billion is. So none of that stuff matters because they have an infinite money glitch. It's impossible to lose their wealth. Also, it's expensive to be poor, and you might find yourself with debts and loans just due to the cost of living and the fact that you were not extremely fortunate, or maybe you were unfortunate, or maybe you had some difficult health outcome that led to financial strain. There's a million reasons that you could have experienced this. You're more likely to fall victim to high interest payday loans and buy now, pay later, and all these things that prey upon people who don't actually have the money to give, that keep them in this cycle of debt. It's not the fucking DoorDash, dude. I'm sorry.
Restaurants are only for special occasions or if they're truly exceptional.
Billionaires are fucking always at restaurants, bro. Billionaires, they're taking private jets to restaurants. Have you heard of billionaires? Have you seen what they're doing other than like stealing labor and like war profiteering and causing the downfall of society? They're eating at restaurants.
I need to brain rot Netflix after work because my days are so exhausting. I try to wake up early and work out, but I'm way too tired when my alarm goes off. I have an intense morning routine: equinox, sauna, cold plunge. I'm biohacking right now because I want to live a really long time. So
I can't see because my eyes have rolled into the back of my head. Shut up. Like, this is again, not talking to the person. They've created fake people. And I'm speaking from someone who was fortunate and got lucky in my jobs out of college. And I worked in big tech, and I got like fancy internships and high paying jobs out of college, and got really fortunate with my tech career. And then I was super lucky a second time with YouTube. It pisses me off when it's like, I'm simply better than you. You know, like that's what I'm hearing from this. Normal people, they fucking rot and watch Netflix. Well, guess what? Everybody watches Netflix. Get off your fucking high horse. You know what I mean? And the cold plunge equinox shit is like, you live in such a bubble, this bubble of hedonic self-actualization, like race to the top of the hustle culture ladder. This is why you get these billionaires like doing ayahuasca to be better at B2B sales, because they're searching for, they've gotten so fortunate and feel like they've won and cracked everything. So they need to transcend beyond. And in reality, they just need a fucking hobby, or to relax, or to maybe fucking bed rot and watch Netflix from time to time. It's not that deep, dude.
wake up at 5 a.m. to do all this. But I also work so late, so I'm usually only getting 4 hours of sleep.
There's a million studies now that talk about how people who get less sleep are essentially shortening their life expectancy, and also their brains are just getting used to needing less sleep. It's actually, they're experiencing cognitive decline, but their brain is no longer giving them the signals that they need to sleep because it's conditioned them to sleep less. It's not that they only need less sleep. It's that they're essentially killing themselves to increase shareholder value. And like, chill, dude. It's just freaking chill. That's my call to action. If you're chilling right now, dude, shout out to you. Hell yeah. If you're eating a freaking DoorDash salad right now that you spent too much money on, fuck yeah, dude. You'll never become a millionaire, but fucking Godspeed.
I don't use an alarm. If I'm not starting my day fully rested, I've already failed.
Okay. This billionaire kind of knows what they're talking about.
I pay a lot for health insurance, so I make sure to get my annual checkup where I get my blood pressure and my heart rate. That's good enough, right? I have great insurance, but no time. I can't wait months for doctor's appointments.
Okay, this is like tech bubble disease. You're a millionaire, dude. You can get a doctor's appointment tomorrow. The real normal people is, I can't take off of my job to do the doctor's appointment because the doctor isn't open by the time I get off my shift. And I can't afford to take the time off because I need the money and I don't get PTO. That's normal people. That's why they can't go to the doctor or do errands.
I have a cheap insurance plan.
Bullshit. Sorry, all of this is wrong.
Then I pay for a concierge AI doctor.
No, you don't.
So I can get instant answers anytime.
You can get instant answers from a real doctor. You're a billionaire. I can get reasonably responsive answers from my doctor. I've got like a reasonable insurance plan. Where do I fit into this? I pay normal for my insurance. and it's normal. And then I go to the doctor a normal amount of times. As I'm recording this right now, I just got a cold email about advancing my programming skills with Full Sail University's project-based curriculum. They're trying to get me back, dude. They're trying to pull me back in. But I say no. I talk shit on the internet now. A lot of people are walking away from this thinking, wow, I think like a billionaire. Well, guess what? You're not going to become a billionaire just by thinking that way, because it has nothing to do with how you think. Except unless you think like a fucking maniac, then maybe it'll work. Okay, I've been told this one's worse. If billionaires built wealth the same way we're told to, stocks, savings, real estate, don't you think we'd all be billionaires by now? Right, exactly. You almost have the point. They're not smarter, right? They just stopped playing the normal game. Again, yes. I mean, like, to become a billionaire, you have to make some choices. All right. You got to make some choices that, in my opinion, often, most times, I would say 99.99% of the time, compromise you ethically. Actually, real quick, before we look at this thing that's clearly going to make me mad, I just want to say this Avni person has this venture fund called Jinshi, which, in my opinion, cool mission, terrible name, a media platform and fund, reaches 1 million plus ambitious women in tech, entrepreneurship, venture, and media through our newsletter, socials, podcast, and job board. That's cool. We write 50 to 100K checks to early stage ventures, directly propelling our audience. I do admire the mission. Now, it does say investments include Dula, Beehive, Debbie, Rift, Lore, and other stealth startups. The term stealth startup does activate my gag reflex, but that's just, old habits die hard. It reminds me of my past. And then also the names of these startups are ridiculous. I just wish you'd invested in Goof, Smack, Bump, and Flick. That's my billionaire plan. When Anastasia told me about Jinshi, I thought it was like a Gen X joke that was also talking about Xi Jinping. I thought it was like Jinshi, like with an It's fine. Everything's fine.
You need to cash out of your 401k because you're actually losing money keeping it in there. Instead, buy Bitcoin because the government can't inflate that.
Get out of town. Get out of town with your plastic pants. Sorry, they look very cool, actually. Not all billionaires are pro-crypto. There are crypto billionaires, but those people took a gigantic risk on something that now they have like this survivorship bias where it's like, I'm actually a genius because I put it all on black and I cashed out. Instead, buy Bitcoin because the government can't inflate that. Comedy is always really interesting because I do assume that there's some aspect of comedy being attempted here. And it really helps frame like the worldview of the person by the things that they say. So I guess they're like a libertarian billionaire and they're like anti-government, but also most billionaires are influencing the government through lobbying because they can afford that because it costs nothing to them and helps their bottom line. So interesting. Instead, buy Bitcoin. But I feel like even the crypto bros would be like, buy Bitcoin, bro? What are you, in 2015? And also, 401ks, no one cares. I'm not about to go on a rant about 401ks, but if I were, 401k is like a legal entity. The actual backing fund of a 401k can be pretty much anything. So it could be total stock market index. It could be, some other mutual fund or whatever. So just blanket cash out your 401k and put it in Bitcoin is bananas. It's cuckoo bananas. Also, like a lot of wealthy people use crypto to launder or obscure like how they're spending money and to avoid taxation, which is real. But then also what billionaires actually often do is the thing called buy, borrow, die, where they just borrow against their massive wealth that's in stocks. And they use their stock holding as collateral. It's like Mark Zuckerberg doesn't just have hundreds of billions of dollars in cash. He has hundreds of millions of dollars in Facebook stock that's then used as collateral to borrow against. And then he pays himself $1 salary. And then that becomes the headline. Oh, Mark Zuckerberg only makes $1 a year. He must really love his company. But actually, he's got this other thing that billionaires do that are just freaking normie minds can't comprehend.
You need to put a percentage of your paycheck into your 401k.
The normal people are still talking about 401ks. Normal people don't have 401ks. The tech bubble, dude. They're all in a bubble. They think everyone is like them. It's like if you have a 401k, sure. That's great. Congrats. That's awesome. Hopefully your company does matching. Most people are not thinking about this. Normal people are living paycheck to paycheck. They're not managing investments. A reminder that the median household income is $60,000 a year. in America. And like most people are in debt, okay?
Every single extra dollar goes to stock, crypto, real estate, and anything else that makes money while I sleep. Gotta stay diversified. I'm just saving what's left after my expenses, hopefully enough to go to Hawaii by the end of the year.
Why do they always frame the normal person as the person who has fun? It's like they're the only person drinking lattes. They're the only person going on vacation. In reality, billionaires are the ones not working the most. The false meritocracy thing is like baked into these.
You should buy a house in Puerto Rico, Florida, or Texas for tax benefits. You only have to spend time flying there, hustling to find a renter and maintaining it. You should get a house because it's gonna be your only investment.
Normal people getting a house in 2026. Sure, bro.
You should only take on debt if you can get credit card points. You can use Klarna to buy that dream purse you wanted and then put it on monthly payments.
That's actually the closest they've gotten to reality, which is just like the debt cycle that people find themselves in because we live in a dark time and people deserve treats just as much as everyone else. The glorified loan sharks at Klarna like benefit off that. All right, last but not least, dating, part 31, billionaire, millionaire, normal people. Okay, 6-1 by the way. The more of these I watch, the more I think this is a way to write off all of these fantastic outfits on your taxes, which is something millionaires do.
I don't really care if he has a dad bod, it's the heart that matters.
Normal people are the only one who care about my dad bod.
I refuse to get to know him unless he's ripped.
Millionaires only want ripped people. Okay, writing that down.
I date guys making 7 figures plus, so I have to rely on Raya to find them.
This is very upsetting because Raya won't let me on. I've been on the wait list for like 5 years. I think there's a glitch. I'm nice, guys.
I don't look at his resume, I look at his world. The way he hosts.
I look at his world, the world that he bought with his billions of dollars. I look at his islands, Big St. James, Little St. James. I look at the flight logs. Who's on there? Is it presidents? Me as a billionaire, these are the things I value.
The way he hosts, treats the waiter.
I feel like a normal person looks at how you treat the waiter, not the billionaire. It's crazy that the billionaire has the most grounded take.
At this point, I'm fine with a sugar daddy. If he pays, I'll give him my time.
I don't think that's normal people. In fact, that like plays into a very toxic stereotype about women, I think. Like, why are you throwing the ladies under the bus right now?
Job market is awful, dating is awful. I'm tired of trying for men who never try back.
Job market's awful, dating is awful. Okay, finally we're eating. I'm tired of trying for men who never try back. Then don't. Okay, you're almost there.
It's important to not date randomly and to date for marriage. Did he go to Harvard Business School?
Did he? Sorry. Leave it in. Whatever.
Is his startup funded by YC? Does his dad own a big company?
Does his dad own a big company? Shut up. Again, I'm talking to the characters. YC, Y Combinator. Okay. Famous startup accelerator. Famous in this world. Like, I know what they are because I was birthed from this egg.
Yeah, he talked about himself the entire dinner and didn't ask me a single question, but at least I'm securing my future.
That sucks. It's like describing a millionaire as like a life you don't want. Yeah, I'm like, my life is without joy or whimsy, but at least I'm rich. At least I'm not like the normal people. I don't know if this is dating advice or what this is supposed to illustrate, but rich people that I know about don't have the greatest dating histories.
A guy who's okay with being a sugar daddy is okay with relying on something external he can buy to prove his love.
Why is the billionaire the philosopher of the group in this one? In what universe? Because they have so much free time. They have so much free time to think about this because they actually aren't working and they are going to restaurants and fucking meditating and doing retreats and collecting billions of dollars. It's awesome. Honestly, if you can get a job as a billionaire, go for it. Incredible benefits.
Instead, I date like an investor and go for the guy with potential. That's what compounds and actually lasts.
If my date ever talks about the compounding value of our relationship, I will compound myself into a forever slumber, dude. Again, I want to go out of my way and say, I don't think this person is bad. I think they mean well. I do think they're a little misguided. I do think they're in a bubble that will continue to validate those in that bubble. And anytime the content escapes outside of that bubble, you realize how out of touch that bubble is with reality. And I say that as someone who has a deep resentment for this world that I used to be a part of. And it's because of mentalities like this. It's because of like worldviews like this that feel uncurious about interacting with people outside of their world. And because of the power that especially the tech industry has continued to gain over the last few decades, it's just exacerbated how much they have imposed their wacky and wild worldview onto hashtag normal people. I think they deserve to be a little bit dragged for it. Just a tad. Again, I don't mean any ill will toward this creator. Continue with your mission. I think that's cool. Obviously, they're making these videos to raise awareness for their fund, I think. Or maybe it's just for the clout of it all. Yeah. Chill. Chill a little bit, actually. And stay gold, everybody. Also, super quick, I just want to say I am doing a improv show. I'll just be the monologist at an improv show at Dynasty Typewriter, Ultimate Improv, featuring a ton of hilarious comedians. Maybe you've seen or heard of them before. I'll put the graphic on the screen. But yeah, it's this Friday, and the tickets are available for in person in Los Angeles, California, and on stream. So you can watch a stream of it if you can't be there. I recommend it. It's a super fun show. I've been to it a bunch of times. I'm really honored to just, be a part of it in a small way. But if you want to come see me or see some funny comedy, live comedy in Los Angeles, check it out.